I am very lazy, Carl, by the way.
What?
I'll be very truthful. I will eat junk sometimes. I'm human. I don't want to give up on donuts. Those are meant to be and they will stay in my life. But then I compensate with just a little bit of work. And I started with Shakeology, of course, because that's the easiest thing. Tastes great. I slowly started introducing the supplement aspect to complement the work I'm putting in.
It seems to me like you've found a really magical balance of work ethic, the health benefits, a reduction in your back pain, and the ability to do these things in life that you weren't doing, hiking, biking, swimming. But you've also balanced that out with now the freedom to have these guilt-free indulgences. That sounds like really good advice to me.
I had a roadmap. The workouts were there, the nutrition guidance was there, the supplements supported my goals, and the community kept me accountable. Everything just works together seamlessly like this. What is there to fail in this, right?
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the BODi Experience podcast, because only one time since we've been doing this have I interviewed an actual member of our staff for their opinion. That was Artie, who helps me put this whole podcast together, and he had a great experience. I think it was with Dig Deeper, and so I'm like, you know what? We're going to kick off this podcast with you, Artie. Well, as companies do, they go through certain shifts in staff and management. And we had a shift recently where, for a temporary period of time, more people started to report to me, which means I had to do some get to know you with people who hadn't reported to me before, but are going to for a period of time. And one of those people, her name is Ecchita Rao, and she is the principal data, product, and project manager, which means she takes care of sort of the linkage between the data of our marketing and projects that will help us expand and scale our marketing. But here's what was interesting about that might relate to you. As I was talking to her, getting to know what she does with her job, when we started to talk about the essence of what this company does, the actual foundation of the mission, people helping people achieve their goals and living healthy, fulfilling lives, Ecchita's face lit up. And I was like, this woman needs to be on the podcast because she embodies the exact type of reaction that I want people to have to our platform and our ecosystem. And frankly, we stopped talking about the work and kept talking about the ecosystem that is the BODi experience. So please welcome to the podcast, Ecchita Rao. And I want you to hear what real enthusiasm and success looks like. Welcome to the podcast, Ecchita.
Thank you, Carl, so much for that introduction. You put it in right words here of what BODi really means to me, and I'm so happy to share that experience with you today and everybody else. So yeah, let's get to it.
Let's do it. Well, people are going to be like, oh, an employee. Of course, she's going to say good things, especially now that she's reporting to this guy. But you did this, sight unseen. We didn't need to get into the product, but we have what they call a Slack channel at the company where people share. It's like our little support community where people share their experience with the product. And I always see you in there. You're always posting your badges and what product you're doing.
Yeah.
And as we were talking the other day, you were just telling me about your consistency and your results. So I want to go back to the beginning because I really want people to understand the culture of this company and about how our people don't just create the products and market the products, they live the products. So let's go back to the beginning. You started with us in July 2023. So you've only been with us now 3 years.
That's correct.
So, I mean, that's a good period of time, but give us a little bit of a background so that we understand where you came from before you joined BODi.
I live in the Bay Area, so as you know, tech companies all around, lots of stress and stuff. So I did a switch between Google Cloud, PayPal, and Google. So, I went back and forth 2 years here, 2 years there. Life caught on, I mean, tech companies do that to you, complete burnout. Plus, I was taking care of my mom who had dementia. So I was taking care of her and stuff. So I basically, like many people, I put myself last, right? And then, my weight gradually climbed up to the highest it's ever been. I'd gone up like clothing sizes up. I constantly felt tired, burnt out, energy low, and I was just like, I didn't feel like myself anymore. So I joined BODi in July of 2023, right? At the beginning of the 1 year, I wasn't so focused because I was very focused on taking care of my mom and stuff. But Unfortunately, she passed and stuff. And then I was like, I said, you know what? I'm a body employee. I have access to all these incredible resources. And one day I thought, I have nothing really to lose except the weight, right? That was the moment I decided, I'm going to commit. Worst case, I don't lose anything. So then I saw the Slack channel, the employee Slack channel and its employee challenges. I said, you know what? I'm going to sign up. What the heck? Got nothing to lose. Let me just do it. And that's how I started with the Body Employee Fitness Challenge on Slack, which I love. Believe me, it's the best thing. And I feel like having that community was huge because everyone is encouraging each other. All the employees are doing that. So I said, I'm going to pick the program because, Body has such a big, huge ecosystem of different programs. I was like, let me just start small and then I'll see where to go from there. So that's kind of like how I started. Yeah.
So what was your first program? What were your first steps?
Well, actually, the first program that I did was 21 Day Fix with Autumn. I felt like, I wanted to do something short, 21 days. That's exactly what I want to do. She's very fun. And, I like the whole community atmosphere and everything else. And I love the fact that, it was so easy, just put it on. I don't have to park. I don't have to go to gym. I have an hour between meetings, get on it. And, I was like, okay, it's 21 days is not overwhelming. I think it's doable, so let me try there, right? Yeah. So I started with 21 Day Fix.
So did you see results immediately? Did it like out of the gate?
So once 21 Day Fix happened, I started feeling the difference in my energy levels for sure. Because I felt like I was more agile. I could get up, I was sleeping a little bit better. I used to have a lot of back problems because I was, like I said, at the highest weight, right? And so I was getting back problems. I wasn't being able to move that much and stuff. I've changed beds because I thought the bed was a problem because my back was out. But it wasn't that, it was my weight. But once I did the 21-day fix, but within that, when she was talking, she kept talking about nutrition, right? And that's when my eyes opened up and I said, wait, there's another aspect to it. I want my weight to come down, but I wasn't seeing significant changes in the numbers. And I said, there's something that's missing here, this like a piece of puzzle that's missing. And I figured, what am I going to do to fix that? And that's when I went to nutrition. I said, I need something else to complement the work I'm putting in. And that's when I started going into like, okay, I'm going to try Shakeology. I slowly started introducing the supplement aspect because I do believe personally that you have to augment these two together. You can't do it like piecemeal it and say, I'm just going to work out, right? And of course, I wasn't going for perfection. Consistency, working out, the community, and nutrition. That was kind of like my mantra.
So as that got going, how did things start to change? How did you know you were making progress?
For one, I started seeing the weight come down, gradually. Because, like I said, it took me a whole year. It didn't happen. Like I've lost 40 pounds. If I show you pictures, I wear my clothes. I'm just so happy. I'm like, I can't believe I'm like, wearing clothes that I used to wear like when I was much younger. Thankfully, I have some. I went shopping. What the heck? So, I started monitoring like what I was putting in my body, right? I started counting my calories. Then I figured out, okay, you know what? I need to have proteins. A right amount of proteins is very, very important. Then I realized I'm doing strength training. I need creatine. I do creatine and collagen in my coffee every morning. So I started doing like a little bit of like thinking, like what are the things that would help me elevate my my weight loss journey. And once I started incorporating those slowly, I started with Shakeology, of course, because that's the easiest thing. Tastes great. I put in my smoothie, just have a blender, put it in, drink it. Then I figured, wait, uh, right before the workout, if I do energize, I'm gonna get more out of my workout, right? So I slowly started using energize before I worked out. So I built out my roadmap. But here's the thing, the program has framework of how you need to work it out, right? The trainers give you enough tips to say like you got to do this, you got to do that and stuff like that. And having a community and figuring out what other people are doing also helped me because I'm like, you cannot silo one thing. You cannot do it like, okay, I'm just going to work out and see results. You have to blend it in with all of this, and that was my success story. is like, okay, it'll only work when you put these things together.
Now, this can't be the first time you ever did a workout or started this kind of journey, was it?
No, I've tried before and I have failed miserably and I've given up because I'm like, you know what? Once I started doing, like, I hit the 10-pound mark, I kept motivating myself. I said, okay, that's great. And then I figured I'm not going to weigh myself every day, because what happens is when you're weighing, people always think like the scale is it. I don't believe the scale it is. I believe in, you sleep, how well you sleep, how energetic you feel, how good you look, how good you feel. Those are elements that basically were my metrics, my success metrics. The scale does its work eventually. If you follow the path, the scale will do it for you. But I don't believe it's all about just the scale, because when you work out, you put on muscle mass. That's heavy. You may see the scale go up a little bit. So I saw those trends, but I had enough intel to realize, okay, where am I going and what is my ultimate goal? And that's kind of like where I led myself to 40 pounds.
So, did anything about that process and having these tools sort of all integrated, right? So, you got fitness and nutrition and now this community. Did anything surprise you about sort of the leverage that you were getting or the efficacy of it?
They all fit in well, but I think you have to navigate and be consistent about what you do. I think what Body does really well is the trainers are really good. They actually give you very realistic expectations, I feel like. So the program is very realistic for me. It's like, the expectations is very real, but you got to do the work, right? It's not going to be like, and I really like the energy and the passion that people have within the community. I love it. Our Body employees, for example, all of them are so, doing this, and we talk with each other. I think the community is the big time factor, because it's like, okay, what are you doing when you see someone else lose weight and when you see a success story? And that is why when I go to the dog park, for example, I have dogs. I'm always talking to people and they're like, you look great, and honestly, Carl, my life has changed. I play tennis, I bike, I swim, and I hike. I've actually been a part of like 52 hike challenge, which means I hike one hike every Sunday.
Hmm.
I could not do that before. And now it's become a part of my lifestyle. I just I can't do without this.
Yeah. So, what I love that you said when we were talking originally, that you love the ecosystem. And I think that's such an abstract term. Here's the thing: in home workouts can be very lonely for people. And that's why many people don't start them, because they're like, I'm going to fall off because I'll be by myself. All my excuses will come up. I don't have a trainer coming and training me. I'm not going to a gym. So, describe to me how this virtual ecosystem, because we're a remote company, so nobody's coming over to your house. How does that keep you going, and has it helped you overcome any challenges?
Using the Body ecosystem, it removed a lot of guesswork for me, right? What workout should I do? I mean, it's like a Netflix of, programs. You just go and figure out what are you in the mood for. You want to do yoga? Do you want to get on the bike? Do you want Shanti? Like, what do you feel like? What is your vibe like today? What should I eat? It's there. Nutrition is there for me. Am I getting enough protein? It's there. Am I doing things correctly? There's a trainer that tells you how to do it, right? So I had a roadmap. The workouts were there. The nutrition guidance was there. The supplements supported my goals, and the community kept me accountable. Like, what is there to fail in this, right? Everything just works together seamlessly like this. And if something like this is laid out for someone who doesn't know anything, like, believe me, I got these weights from Facebook Marketplace. I don't even have a setup. I don't even have a bench. I borrowed somebody's bencher. Like, I don't have a bench, but I was like, I'll make it work for me. This is my office space. I work out here,
All
you
right.
know.
Well, we got to get you a bench. I mean,
No,
you've
no,
earned yourself a bench. We got to
no, no, no.
remind me in our next one-on-one meeting. Remind
Thank
me,
you.
say, Carl,
No.
you promised me a bench. Get me a bench. My gosh, that's the least we could do. How much weight did you say you lost?
40 pounds.
40 pounds in about a
Yeah, but
year.
I'm not there yet. I still have a little ways to go. So I have another 7 pounds is what I'm going for, because I do my BMI. I'm just going with metrics. I'm a very data driven person, as you know. I work with the data teams, so I want to make sure that I have my my goal and my KPIs for my personal achievement there. So I have about 7 pounds to go, and I'm not in a hurry because I know I'll get there with BODi.
So it sounds like from a lifestyle perspective that there was a point of, hey, let me see if I can do this, to realizing that this is going to be a lifestyle. This is not going to be something that is optional for you. Was there a moment that you realized that I'll call it the tipping point, that your lifestyle actually changed and you became this version of Ashita versus the one that was wondering, or am I going to fail again? Like, what was the tipping point that you realized things changed?
Once I did the 21-day fix, for me, that was like the easiest thing. And I just was like, okay, I feel lighter, I feel good. And like Autumn had mentioned, you measure your body, and I sort of like did that, and I saw a little bit glimmer of hope. I said, okay, you know what, this might work for me. And then I gave myself 3 months, and I said, in 3 months, if I don't lose any weight, I give up. Fine, I'm not going to do it. And in 3 months' time, I think I was at about, let's say, 7 to 8 pounds. And that's when I'm like, okay, this works. Now I just got to like piece it together. I just need to have myself checkpoints. And believe me, I do have cheat days. I love eating ice cream. I will do all of those things that I need to. I will indulge here and there. But then I get back. I have choices. But the point of the matter is, I keep moving. I never stand still, right? I go like, as long as I can be committed to a program and I'm there, fine. If my body feels like doing yoga, I will do it. Pilates, whatever it is, I will do it, right? Because that is my tick for the day. Like, I got that thing done. Makes me feel good, gets me out of my headspace, makes me actually feel really good. The dopamine that I get, it feels good.
Your process based on your job, right? Data product manager. It's sort of all lines up that your intellectually, your mentality reflects that in the way you approach your wellness. And I really appreciate that. But there's the soft stuff, and the soft stuff is the human stuff, how you're feeling. Obviously, you were dealing with the loss of your mom. So sorry about that. And to navigate, you're not a machine. Even though you're a great manager, you're not a machine. So what would you say to another human being, or even the Ashita of a year, 2 years ago? What advice would you give to yourself or somebody who's listening now? What's your advice?
Just start, right? Don't wait till Monday. Don't wait till you feel motivated. Just one small step is what you need to do. And then once you start seeing results, you get even more invested in it, right? All of us need instant redemption. We want to see changes, but you got to work it. The program will work for you if you work it, right? But small steps. And the main thing for me was I just started somewhere. I said to myself, enough. And here, putting on clothes that didn't fit me in years, walking upstairs without feeling winded. These are my like sleeping through the night. I mean, I don't have to take melatonin or all those things that I used to buy to just put me to sleep. I don't. I'm just like tired. I'm like, okay, I'm done. 7:30, my alarm rings. I'm up. Ready to get into my workout clothes, and I'm ready for the day. Right. That's kind of like looking at my blood work and seeing healthier numbers. I mean, that is the best thing, right? So I think these little victories keep reinforcing that I was on the right path and that it'll work. And if I can work, I am very lazy, Carl, by the way. I don't,
What?
yeah, I am. But I made an
Don't tell me that,
no,
Ashita.
I
I'm
am.
counting on
I
you.
mean, hey, I can be lazy. So I'm very human like everybody else. I love sometimes splurging on ice cream. I'll be very truthful. I will eat junk sometimes. I love chips. Who doesn't? Pizza, Coke, I'm human. I'm not someone who's going to be like, no, I'm not going to eat that. I'm just going to eat a little slice of, no. I love carbs. Who doesn't? But the thing is that if you follow something alongside with indulge. I don't want to give up on donuts. I don't want to give up on all the stuff, all the good things in life. Those are meant to be and they will stay in my life. But then I compensate with just a little bit of work and it works.
It sounds like, so that's great encouragement and great insight. It also sounds like there's a warning to people to a couple of things that you've said, and tell me if I'm picking it up, okay? You still want to give yourself the space to be human, to have the life that you love to live. And so make sure you construct it in a way that you're not so impatient for your results that you're miserable while you're trying to do this really good thing for yourself. Because it seems to me like you've found a really magical balance of work ethic, understanding the benefits, the health benefits, the improvement in your or reduction in your back pain, and the ability to do these things in life that you weren't doing, hiking, biking, swimming. But you've also balanced that out with now the freedom to have these guilt-free indulgences because you're balancing that. Would you that sounds like really good advice to me.
That is very true because I haven't given up anything, I'm not sugar free. I do have my sugar cravings and I will do that. But I know for a fact, hey, I know what to do on Monday because I have a roadmap, I have a framework, and I have the toolkit. I just have to go to my toolkit, open it, and figure out what do I want to do? What do I want to do? And it works. Consistency is the key, and the program will work for you if you want to work it. And that's all I say to people. If it's all up to you guys to figure out if you want to make that change, then you just have to start and commit. Right? Commitment is the main thing for me, and consistency. Those two really help. And if you're committed, no matter what, even at work, I show up every single day, and I love what I do because I get up in the morning and I'm committed, and I show up. I show up for people and I show up for myself, right? So I think that's the big difference.
What's it like to work for a company? You've seen the before and afters and the success stories and stuff. What's it like to work for a company that has this effect on people's lives?
I think the company does a great job about giving employees the resources, right? We get free products and we get, all these things that we can use easily, right? We get access to all the programs and stuff like that. And that's a big perk, in my opinion. So it's a very healthy community of people. So all my teammates, they're super healthy people, and that's what makes a big difference, I think, because you're more productive when you're in that kind of like a vibe, right? You just feel like less toxic, and your body is fresh. Like you just have a much more productive day. Like when I work out in the morning, I get so much done because I already have reach that level of good mental state in my headspace. So I'm productive. I want to get things done, right? When I'm doing a program, I'm looking at the clock. I have 10 minutes, I listen. I'm a good listener because I got to listen to the trainers. You learn so much from all these little things. I recently did the P90X. It was amazing. I had such a great time. It was entertaining. The trainer was great. He had a little community around him. It was a hard program, but I got it done, because I was like, you know what? This is accomplishment. 90 days commitment, no matter what, 7 days a week, you do it, right? And that's why I love working for Body is like the people, the community, the kind of, it just, and I think it just comes from leadership also. Yourself, I see you, I'm on your Instagram, I look at you, I'm like, oh my God, Carl's out there working out. What am I doing? Let me get on.
I appreciate that. Well, Ashita, I'm so proud to have you part of the team and really appreciate how you've shared so honestly with us. I just think it makes me feel so good. First off, to have people like you working for this company and to see this company have this kind of effect on the people that work for the company. I'm
It's
just
life
so
changing
proud.
for me, Carl. Like I think Bali came to me at a time where I was like in my low point, and I don't know, it was probably meant to be. And now I look at it and I go like, sometimes things happen, and I was going through a very low point in my life, and Bali changed my life, honestly. And I'm not saying it because I work for Bali and you're my CEO. I'll say that anywhere to anybody. It's really made a big change in my life, and I'm a much happier person.
Yeah. Well, I sure appreciate it. And I appreciate you sharing so much with us. So, Ashita Rao, that's what we do at Body. We are products of the product, as they say. And I hope whether you work for us or you just want to work with us, you can be an affiliate or you can just be a subscriber. But it's a pretty cool ecosystem. It's a pretty cool culture and community. And we hope you join us, whether it's just for fitness, just for nutrition, or you put the whole thing together, you're going to get results and hopefully you'll feel as good as Ashita did. And that's my new motto. be like Ecchita, and you should too. But whatever it is, I hope you tap into the BODi experience so that you can have that good feeling of accomplishment that comes from commitment and consistency. We'll see you next time on the BODi experience.
The experiences and results shared in this podcast may vary based on effort, consistency, and goals following BODi's exercise programs and nutrition plans.